Right, welcome back. Last time we went ahead and removed all noble autonomy, so now provinces won't get increased autonomy, as much increased autonomy from noble power. This should help at least reduce the level of autonomy so that I can get a little bit more power in place in important provinces, at least with high levels of rural development. In places with more urban development, it's the burghers that I would need to worry about, at least considering their power level. I also need to eventually start doing more reforms in the state. Of course, I can't do anything at the moment due to a combination of lack of state reach and bureaucratic influence. Of course, there are things I could potentially do. Eventually banning the sale of offices. It's going to be very costly for stability, though. I should not do that now. At least with current level of state reach. Theoretically, I could do this, but I would need to drop autonomy by about 8%. Or I could do this, but I would need to either drop autonomy by 13%, or drop it by 8% and get 13 more state reach. Yay. This one I'm actually coming pretty close to. But state reach, state reach, state reach. Definitely not right now. State reach. I would need a good bit more influence to ban the sale of offices. It's probably the one I'm closest to reaching right now. As it's a struggle to get autonomy down. I have to balance between good opportunities for expansion and making sure I don't overextend myself too much so that I can still reform. Institutional governance. So yeah, I've checked some stuff out, and on the ruler authority, it seems to increase when you have an especially good ruler. That doesn't seem to be happening anytime soon, so I guess we can save the peasant reform for later. Anyway, institutional governance. This should actually help because the institution itself is considered a, well, yeah, a 4-4. Right now it's giving me the benefit of 2 extra mill points, but I'm sure it would be, well, maybe, I don't know. Anyway, a state is not merely a ruler and their government, it is an idea. That laws persist past their makers, that rules may outlive their rulers, that though there may have been many monarchs, there has only ever been one crown. Ruler authority minus 10%, institutional authority plus 10%, and plus 1 possible advisor. That will definitely make sure that at the moment I get 2 mill points. I might get 4 admin and diplo points now, though. I am not sure. Ruler impact 60%. Executive power 8. I probably should see if I can invest in the irrigation, actually. How much infrastructure would it need? This province need for improved irrigation. Here it is. Only 4 units. I could theoretically do that, but one for the fact that urban labor keeps getting... Yeah, there's not enough urban labor, strangely enough. I can't construct anything in the capital. Even if I wanted to, beyond basic investment stuff. I have no need to upgrade any further irrigation here. Even though it will probably be absurdly cheap, wouldn't it? There's 86 units of irrigation here. Wow. Interesting, there's no amenities here. How much population is here? Enough. Okay, so how many units of amenities would need to be constructed? Because this has an actual sizable, if small-scale industry. 5, 6, or something? Okay. I think that should actually be the next infrastructure project, or at least the first. Right, okay, so... build infrastructure. Amenities by 1 rank, okay. That is pricey, uh-huh. I can at the very least reduce the parallelism to 3. Problem is the labor demand would outstrip the amount. Yeah, so it would raise wages too. Somewhere else that has a good amount of urban labor waiting around. And a need for more amenities. The thing is I can't look at labor amount and population at the same time. The bus has breached its limiting point already. Well, actually, this one has not. There's still more room for growth. What about labor amount? Okay. Let's deselect. Let's see if it predicts the same cost. It should? Now that is strange. It does not predict the same amount of cost. In fact, it should be a lot cheaper. Maybe it's also predicting wage cost or something. Okay, let's try building one at a time. Hopefully there's enough urban... There's not enough urban labor produced, period, for that. Wow, that is bad. What about this province? There's no urban whatsoever, okay. I figure in order for that to appear, I would have to invest in the urban industry at all. There's just peasantry and clergy here. I would presume the same. No, there's some urban, but not enough. Heck, this doesn't even have enough. I can't do infrastructure projects. At all. Wow. Good try. You know what? Okay. Infrastructure project has begun. It's gonna need some time for it to grab the labor, I guess. Actually, now that I think about it, do different kinds need different kinds of labor? Resident point 5, okay. Pathing? Peasantry, okay. I would presume irrigation will require peasantry. That would require resident, okay. Okay, so it appears that the good stuff and the labor stuff has come in. Interesting. So it needs industrial knowledge. I'm sure that stuff will be bought, but it's also going to need resident labor. And I just hope it's not too much. I mean, part of the problem is that there's, I think, quite literally not enough residents in place to fulfill the demand. Yeah, at least it goes into this equation. At the very least, urban wages will start to skyrocket, and that means more of them will start to move in because there's going to be more demand. Probably from places that have more residents than they need. Of course, it's birth rate and movement. Like, I think in general my residents are decreasing in count. Which is a strange thought. Where are they all coming from? Could actually be coming from my subjects. That's actually a possibility. Yeah, they're emigrating here. To some small degree. I'm on page 2 now. I didn't change to page 2. Very little change, but definitely immigration. Alright, there's nothing here. It's Pemba that has the first one. Some actual growth! Wow! And some slight immigration. And here too. Okay. Yeah, I can imagine trying to invest into industry here in order to convince more of them to stick around. It's 2.5, so there's still room with the amount of amenities present. Yeah, could use some investment. Of course, that's assuming that there's actual industries. There's a textile industry in place. And it's decently profitable, so... Well, then again, other places. I'll just leave it be for now. Mecking around with population. Well, actually, the amount of residents here is increasing naturally, too. There's also a lot of immigration to here. This province has the issue of not having enough amenities to support its urban population, which is why death rate is so high here. Amenity level is 30,000. There's almost 50,000 urban population here. Of course, well, as a result, there's 125 people dying here compared to births. Well, but there's also 400 people moving in. Yeah. Life is good here, if it weren't for the fact that there's not enough room for everyone. This is the province that could really use amenity investment. Problem is I don't have enough money to do that. And there's not enough labor for it. I would need to buy at least 14 units. And I don't have the cash for that. In any way, shape, or form. If I were to select the province, and then check the build infrastructure, that's the irrigation. Right, amenities by 1 rank. Oh wow, that's actually really cheap. Okay, I might actually save up for that. The main problem is that it's going to need a lot of units to improve it. Let's get back. Let's. Okay, here it is. We would need, as I've said, 14. Each unit requires half a point of resident labor. And there's, well, 4.5 required units of labor. Basically, there's not enough urban population, and there's too much at the same time. Hopefully I can get something constructed with the project once I get around to building it. I also needed to get undivided loyalty, the next idea. A minion with many masters is no minion at all. A regular paycheck and a life of service, undistracted by courtly intrigues, or a second job does wonders for the loyalty, or at least acquiescence, of most people, but not least of all those working in the government. Minus 10% stability increase interval, which means I am more resilient to changes affecting the status quo. Or adjustments, to be specific. So it should be easier for me to gain stability points. Yeah, I'm getting them rapidly. National income is doing better than ever. A minimal amount lost to tax farming, and less being lost to corruption. Yeah, I just hope it drops further. Then there's also the realm expenses. Wages are minimal. It's really the manpower costs that are most of the realm expenses. Army maintenance is also kind of... Wait. Army maintenance increased? Yeah, army maintenance is starting to increase as my army becomes more and more professional. Interesting. 124. Well, we recently did the investment, the auto investment, so I'm not going to need money for a while. Alright then. I'm sure that factors in the cost of labor too. Although I probably should have increased parallelism, but Note to self, capital infrastructure is one of the most expensive to produce. Everything else actually isn't that bad. Oh, that's why I wasn't aware of this coming up anytime soon. That was my subject. Where are you heading to? Oh, you were in Myra and heading to Safala. Hopefully I get, well... They should actually go into those provinces. Honestly, by the time I get down there, it should be fine. Expected arrival date is in November. Yeah, it should be able to recover most of its morale. And then once they're done, they can head back up. And get back to drilling to make sure that that first contact in the war is going to be a very good contact. Seems like the road down there is finished. Okay, let's bring you back up. I've been paying attention to that area because but I guess it's been dealt with. How likely is that to rise? It's about 1.3 years. Okay. Good thing traversal takes like a couple months. I mean, it's currently January and it'll be there in May. Okay, so a few months. Shouldn't be a problem. So, autonomy is in fact reducing. It's now at 80. It's below 85%, which I don't think it has been for ages. At the very least, not since I've tried to conquer Zanzibar. That I know. I've been actually started my own construction projects now that I have a better idea of what to do with infrastructure. I'm mainly working on expanding amenities in certain areas. Specifically here in Mizizima and in Mafia. This is because Mafia has some of the best resident life quality in the country. Some of at least, and it's actually, well, I would say, let me adjust that. It is one of the few places with an actual birth rate of residents instead of a death rate. This is because of a combination of good quality of life and enough amenities. Mizuzuma, on the other hand, has the best quality of life. Out of all the residents, almost all of comfort is fulfilled. However, it has an absurdly horrible death rate because of lack of amenities. However, people keep immigrating, so as soon as I were to change this, things would improve, which is why I'm also building it here. Additionally, amenities seem to be pretty cheap, which is good, especially compared to capitals. Capitals are awful for cost. I haven't done much in the way of reforms at all. However, I have increased state reach. Right now I'm basically just sitting around increasing state reach and hoping that stability doesn't change too much. I have hit equilibrium in about the worst place possible, though. Right below regular stability. I'm going to see if I can find something that raises stability without damaging too much, but it doesn't seem to be the case. Great. I've also been going through bureaucracy ideas, picking up institutional governance and undivided loyalty, which puts institution over ruler, somewhat, increases possible advisors, and improves stability gain. So institutional authority is, with authority, it used to be that rule authority was 60, and institutional authority was 40. Now it's a bit more balanced with 55.3 and 44.7, approximately. Corruption has also been reducing, slowly. It's not going as quickly since it's getting closer and closer to the equilibrium, though. However, it does mean that I now get even more taxes, and I've also started to reduce the level of taxation. Well, the amount of effort put into taxation. It's not doing that much to affect my income. In fact, I've reduced the amount of tax and manpower, and now it's gone back up to its value, almost to the value it was before I lowered it, so that's good. It indicates greater levels of efficiency. Sweden. Personal union with Denmark. Liberty desire is 12.2%. Yep. I've also done some odd exploration by means of finding capitals and clicking on them. So that's why I know about the Ottomans, or the Turkish Empire, however you like to see it, and apparently Sweden. I guess I no longer know of any provinces of no, there we go. There's also this wasteland owned by Perm. Well, that's covered by Perm, but I don't see any of it. Anyway, with global events, I don't know much about this area to really say anything. Although it looks like the Golden Horde is in its collapse stages. Which I find good. It doesn't affect me in any way whatsoever. Ethiopia seems to have been beaten up by the Mamluks, although that was how it was at the start of the session, so I don't know if I had just not noticed it. Butuwa no longer exists. Now Lundu is definite hegemon of the Zambezi area. Well, the Monomatapa node, Greater Zimbabwe. It was called Zambezi in the base game, which is why I called it that. Legitimacy is also increasing, since I haven't been touching that. I haven't been spending that to appease the nobility. Because I haven't had any recent plans of reforms surrounding the nobility. Closest I can think of is doing this, which will shift my manpower gain. I'm currently not interested since, well, I might do that later. Once force limit increases, I will get more money and lose manpower. Of course, I don't want to do anything until I get to this. However, for that I need ad hoc decisions, etc., etc. I should really stop here. Anyway, this game is just so complex. It's amazing. Anyway, I'll see you again next time. Until then, bye.